with another lesson on letter writing. So far, we have written letters of gratitude, thanking people who have been helping us during this difficult time period. We also wrote friendly letters to our friends and our family, and even people we might not know, because we wanted to make more connections while we are apart. Today, I want to show you how to write an open letter to show solidarity and make change. Open letters are different than the other kinds of letters we've written because they're not written to one person. They're written to the whole world to see. And when we write an open letter and we try to show solidarity with people, that means that we want to show that we stand in support of a cause or a group of people. We want to show the world that we're committed to big ideas to make changes in the world, and that we're willing to act with people who also are committed and want to make these changes in the world. So writing an open letter, let's start doing that together right now. First thing that you do, just like any other letter, is you write the date in the upper right-hand corner. And then you have to think about, who do you want to show support for? Who or what are you going to try to make changes about? One way to do that is to think about who the helpers, the heroes, and the people facing hardships are in our world. You can do that by making observations, looking around and thinking, who are the big helpers? Who are the heroes? Who are people facing hardships or have big problems? You can also listen or participate in conversations. Who and what are people talking about at home, in your Zoom calls at school, in your conversation with your friends? And what do you see in the news? What do you see on TV? What do you read about in the newspaper? Those will help you identify who you want to stand in solidarity with, who you want to support, and what kinds of things you want to change. So for example, when I look out and I look for the helpers, the heroes, and the people facing hardships or hard times, I'm thinking about two groups of people. I'm thinking about the essential workers, those bus drivers, restaurant workers, healthcare aides, nurses, all those people, supermarket workers, all those people that are helping us during this really difficult time. And without them, life would be even harder than it is now. And I'm thinking also about our friends who are African American. I'm thinking about the death of George Floyd and other Black men and women who I'm sure you've been talking about, and how Black people in our country continue to face racism all the time, every day. I'm thinking about both of these groups, and I'm thinking about the problems they face. And then I start thinking about how this makes me feel. Well, it makes me feel a lot of things, right? It makes me feel worried for the essential workers who go out and work and might get sick. Makes me upset and sad to think that they're away from their families. Makes me angry to think that sometimes they don't have the right things that they need to do their job safely. Makes me very thankful for the work that they do. Similarly, when I think about the racism in our country and the death of Black men and women, I'm very angry. I'm very upset and sad, and I'm very worried for my friends who are African American. And I'm also thankful that people are coming together to show their solidarity, to stand with them so that we change our country for the better. But now I have to think what I'm going to write in my letter. I also have to think about some solutions. What are things I can write in my letter to tell the world, hey, this has to change. This is a way we can do it. How can we get masks to essential workers? How can we get them enough time with their families? How can we get them babysitters for their kids? How can we stop police officers from treating Black men and women unfairly? How can we stop all the racism in our country? I have to think of those solutions. Once I have thought about that, I'm ready to write my letter. And guess what, you guys? You already know how to write these kinds of letters. This is your writing about your opinion writing, okay? So when you write a letter in solidarity, the first thing that you do is you write, I am writing to show my support for. I am writing in solidarity with. And then you go on and think about all the things you know about opinion writing, because a letter of solidarity or asking for change is a place where you're sharing your opinion. You're making arguments. So the first thing you'll do is you'll say your opinion. I believe, in my opinion, we must. Second. Then you'll give your reasons for your opinion and some examples. You'll use words like for example, or in addition, or also. And then of course you'll end with a strong closing that moves your readers to make the kind of change you want to see. And when you're done with your letter, you'll sign it. And you won't say love or sincerely. You'll say in solidarity, and then you'll write your name. Now, how do you share your letter of solidarity to make change? How do you do that? Because you're not writing to one specific person. Well, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can send it to a newspaper, your school newspaper, your local newspaper. You can send it to leaders like your principal or your mayor or your senator. You can even make a video message and send it to your friends and your family. Do you want to see a couple letters that I've written? Here's my letter in solidarity with Black Lives Matter. I stand in solidarity with Black Lives Matter and everyone who's working to end racism in our country. The death of George Floyd and other Black men and women makes me sad, worried, and angry. We must do more and make our community safe and loving for Black people in our community. One thing we must do to end the unjust treatment of African Americans in our country is to learn more about their history. It's hard to solve a problem when you don't understand it. Instead of just reading books about African Americans in February during Black History Month, we need to read books about and with African Americans throughout the year so we can learn why they are not being treated fairly. Another thing we must do is to use our voice and speak out against racial injustice. People shouldn't be treated differently by the police because of their race. The police should protect all and harm no one. Finally, we must be allies. That means we must be good friends by listening to our Black friends and neighbors. We can ask how they are feeling and pay attention. If we really believe in justice for all, we can't just say it, we must do something about it. In solidarity, Miss DW. And here's one I wrote for the essential workers. I'm writing in solidarity with essential workers. They are the supermarket workers, bus drivers, truck drivers, Amazon workers, farmers, healthcare workers, construction workers, cooks, janitors, and delivery drivers who have made sure that we are taken care of during COVID-19. I'm thankful for their help, but I'm also worried that they are not being treated right. I believe we must do a better job taking care of them while they take care of us. One reason we should take better care of essential workers is that we would suffer without them. For example, who would take care of us when we're sick? Who would grow our food? Essential workers are essential. We can't live without them. Another reason we should take better care of essential workers is that it's the right thing to do. When other people put their lives at risk to help other people, it's important that we make sure they are as safe as possible. For example, we need to make sure that all essential workers have masks that really protect them. Finally, and most importantly, we need to take care of essential workers because we're all in this together. We need to take care of each other in good times and bad times. Essential workers, we see you, we support you. In solidarity, Miss DW. So writers, who are the helpers, the heroes, the people facing hardships that you want to support? Who do you stand in solidarity with? I'm going to leave this chart up here for you. Take a minute, think, feel, and write. Off you go.